Kia ora koutou. Welcome everybody. Ko Angela Demaray toku ingoa. I am the Principal Advisor Quality Improvement in the Quality Assurance and Improvement team here at DSS. Our previous Provider Quality Forum was an introduction to the DSS Enhanced Audit Programme with KPMG as guest speakers. And today we're welcoming them back to dive deeper into how the Enhanced Audit Programme will work. So I'll start us with karakia timatanga, opening karakia, and then I will talk through some housekeeping and pass over to James McElraith, our Principal Advisor Quality Assurance. And he'll introduce the topic of today's forum before handing over to KPMG. So kia ora te marino, kia whakapapa ponamo te moana. Hei huarahi mā tātou I te rangi nei. Aroha atu, aroha mai. Tātou ia tātou katoa. Hui taiki. Okay, so again, welcome. A few housekeeping items before we begin. So all attendees have entered the session with cameras and microphones turned off. You won't be able to turn these on yourselves, but there will be opportunities for questions and answers at the end of the session. You can submit written questions at any time during the forum using the Q&A function. The chat has been disabled for today, so Q&A is the only interaction tool available. You'll find that Q&A button next to where chat would usually be. And when you open Q&A, a panel will appear on the right-hand side of your screen. Please make sure that it is set to ask a question. You'll see ask a question selected, and you can select that using the drop-down menu. You'll be able to see other participants' questions as they come in, and if someone has already asked your question, there's no need to submit it again. Please use the upvote arrow next to the question instead. This is a bit like a like. It helps us prioritize questions based on interest, which is particularly important given the number of people that we have attending today. So questions will be read out by our DSS Quality Assurance and Improvement team colleagues, and we'll work through them during the Q&A segment at the end of the session. A reminder that this session is being recorded. The recording, along with a transcript and any slides, will be published on the DSS website after the event. And lastly, when asking a question, please speak clearly, particularly the facilitators, that is, stating your name and organisation. Thank you. Okay, so introducing the topic today is our Principal Advisor Quality Assurance, James McElraith. James.
Thanks, Angela. I'll just get my notes up and PowerPoint. I'll be with you in a moment. Kia ora koutou. Welcome everyone to this Provider Forum. My name is James McElraith. I'm a Principal Advisor Quality Assurance in the DSS Quality Assurance and Improvement team. This presentation will provide a short background to the program as we move into audit delivery. Some of this was covered or canvassed in the previous Provider Forum in early February, but I wanted to give you a little bit of background again as an introduction. We'll cover today how the Enhanced Audit Programme will operate and what providers can expect to ensure the audit process is meaningful and valuable for everyone involved. We will then hand over to our strategic audit partner, KPMG, who will go into more detail about the audit practicalities. And as Angela has mentioned, please submit any questions via the Q&A function. We'll address these towards the end of today's forum in the Q&A session, and we'll also publish a written Q&A alongside the forum recording and transcripts, particularly if we don't get to all the questions that are being asked. The Enhanced Audit Programme is about strengthening how quality and safeguarding are understood and supported across DSS services. For providers, the intent is not to introduce unnecessary burden or surprise, but to create clearer expectations and greater consistency across the system. A key focus is on safeguarding and ensuring the experience of disabled people is central to the audit process. We're starting with small community group homes, 4 beds and fewer, where safeguarding is most closely tied to everyday support practices. And getting the approach right now is crucial for us, as it will set us up well for the future. Implementation and delivery is being approached carefully and deliberately, although we're moving at pace. The early audit phase is about building a shared understanding of current practice, contributing to provider continuous improvement and collective learning, and establishing a baseline that helps everyone see where things are working well and where support or improvement may be needed. Our audits will look at real-world practice, recognising the complexity of delivering disability support rather than focusing solely on documentation. We're also actively working with HealthCert and Te Kahui Kahu to align audit activity with existing requirements and to minimise duplication where possible. This year is also in a great part about our learning, refining the audit approach so it is workable, proportionate and genuinely useful for providers and DSS. For providers, the audit process is intended to be clear, consistent and predictable. Audits are designed to provide insights, helping identify strengths, highlighting emerging risks, and supporting continuous improvement rather than simply producing findings. Safeguarding indicators, incident patterns, and disabled person experience are key inputs alongside other evidence. As shared at the provider forum, the earlier provider forum, DSS has partnered with KPMG to deliver the Enhanced Audit Programme, working closely with providers to ensure the process is consistent, transparent and practical. We'll hand over shortly to KPMG, who will take everyone through what this looks like in practice and what to expect as implementation and delivery begins. Thank you, Angela. Back to you.
Thanks, James. I'm just going to introduce now our colleagues from KPMG. So we've got Peter Chu, our lead partner, Emma Williams, the delivery lead and clinical subject matter expert, and James Poskett, design lead, all from KPMG. So thank you. Who would like to speak first? Peter?
Thanks, Angela. Kia ora tātou, ko Peter Chu aho, ko taputaranga te monga a kianu ki taku nā ko, ko Ngāti Pākehata iwi, tihei mauri ora. Thanks for all joining us again for this provider forum, and thank you all for your engagement and fantastic questions last time when we had this forum. The intent of what we would like to do this time is to give you an update on where we're at, an update against our timelines, to give you an overview of how we will conduct the audits in terms of the communications that you'll receive, the information that we'll seek and the key activities that we'll do before the audit, how the audits will operate themselves, what we will do after the audits, and also an overview of who our KPMG team is around the country that will be leading this work. I'll give us an introduction to some of this, then my colleague Emma is going to take us through some of the elements of the process, and James Poskett is going to jump in around some of the elements of this as well. And then we look forward to your questions at the end. So in terms of all of the work we've been doing so far, the first quarter of this year has really focused on putting in place the bedrock and the foundations for us to be able to deliver these audits as efficiently and as effectively as possible. If I canter down the left-hand side of this table, we started the program late last year in terms of putting some of the governance and reporting structures in place. We focused early this year on building the audit framework, leveraging Naparewa standards, business viability standards, and so on. And we spent a good amount of time with advisory groups and with others testing and validating the audit framework to make sure it's as robust as it possibly can be. To then guide the delivery of the audit framework, we've spent time building, testing, and validating our data collection tool, and to make sure that it's able to support the development of reports out the back of it as well. Step 4 on the slide on the left-hand side there. As you can imagine, this is a significant planning activity and requires a lot of logistics to it as well. So we've been spending time putting in place the processes and mechanisms for the planning and scheduling of audits. As you'll see a little bit later, we have a large team who will be supporting all of these audits, and critical to us is that everyone has the same high level of training and capability build and development before anybody undertakes the audit. So we've been spending time building our training curriculum, working with partners around the delivery of the training, like National Enabling Good Lives, and implementing that training curriculum to all of our auditors. So critical that everybody is fully equipped to be able to deliver those audits before we embark on them. And then finally, we have undertaken some initial audits. We've done about half a dozen audits so far to test the framework, to work with providers and homes and test the whole model and approach. That has gone incredibly well, and we have also put in place some lessons learned on the back of that to make sure that we can deliver all of the audits as efficiently and as effectively as possible. So in terms of timescales and timeframes, we're obviously coming to the end of April now, and we are bang on track for conducting the Type 2 audits, which we aim to be doing in full flow from about now. Thanks, Emma. So what we're going to take you through next is our communication plan. So fundamentally, this is how we ensure that all providers and people in homes are comfortable and confident with the information that we require, how the audits are going to be undertaken, and such that everybody is clear around the process and that there's full transparency of the process. So as you can see in the top left of this slide, our goal is to provide assurance and clarity to all DSS providers and individuals about who's coming to their home, why we're coming, what the audit is actually going to involve and entail, to make sure that we have trust, support readiness, and we can collaborate with you in as cooperative a manner as possible. Emma's going to take us through the detail of this in a moment, but as you can see on this slide, there are 4 communication packs. There's pre-audit information that we'll be sending out and information that we'll require, and then there's post-audit. So just going through this table from left to right, communication pack 1, so about 5 weeks before we intend to be conducting the audit, we'll be advising of our upcoming visits. We'll be ensuring that the data is accurate around the people living in the homes and the homes themselves. We'll be doing some desktop evaluation around our information request. We'll give more details on that in a moment, but just to get background information around the home and the provider. 4 weeks out, we'll be doing individual communication and whānau communication around the upcoming audit, so that there's transparency and clarity of what we'll be doing. 1 week before the audit, we'll send out reminders of the audits and confirmation that they'll be happening, to make sure that before we travel and before we arrive at a home, everybody is comfortable that can go ahead. And then 1 week after, or about 5 working days, we'll do our closeout and follow up on any facts or things that need checking, factual accuracy validation of information from the audit. Emma's going to take us through each of these communication packs in more detail, so you can see what the actual information requests and communications will be. And she's going to go through each of those 4 communication packs and the pre-audit and post-audit process in a little bit more detail now. Thanks, Emma.
Kia ora. Thanks, Pete. It's actually going to be James next.
Ah, bonus.
But the screen won't move. So just bear with me, everybody. There we go. So Mr. Poskett, over to you.
Kia ora, thank you. Kia ora tātou, James Poskett with KPMG as the design lead. So as Pete set out, there will be a phase approach to the communications and the information. I just wanted to touch on one part of that now, which is the document request part. So to go back a step, just to reiterate from our last hui, that we'll be conducting the audit from essentially 3 different perspectives. One is from an organisation perspective, do you have the policies and procedures in place that facilitate good safeguarding and positive experiences for people? Does the home that we're visiting demonstrate those policies and procedures are being put in place through the services provided and the experiences that people are having? And then from the disabled person and whānau and from the support staff, does the experience that they have match what the policies and procedures said that they would, or the support plans say that they would? So for those of you who have been involved in other kinds of audits, the document request or the desktop review is quite possibly the main emphasis, and they'll be very comprehensive. For us, it's important, but the primary emphasis for us is because it's at a home level audit, it's the experience that people are having in their homes and in the visit, the house visit itself. But it's important that we get some background contextual information up front. And for those of you that have multiple homes that we'll be visiting, we would expect that this document request would be across all of the homes. So we wouldn't expect you to repeat or send multiple sets of information for multiple homes. What we're looking for here is, there's a small picture there, and we'll share this and you'll get the information anyway. But really what we're looking for is evidence and examples that you have policies and procedures in place across each of those 8 domains, and then ideally some actual examples of how they've been put into place, whether it's an incidents register and how that's actually been managed, or a complaint process, or process for developing support plans. So seeing examples of those is optimal, but we're not expecting all of your incident reports over a period of time, or even documents covering every single house. It's really enough to demonstrate that those exist, that they're in place, and they're comprehensive enough that it can be followed practically in the homes. Hopefully that makes sense. It's tricky when I can't see people and see if they are getting that or not, but there's no questions in the chat yet, so that's, I guess, encouraging. Excellent. We'll move along.
Thanks, James. Kia ora, ko M. Williams tōku ingoa. I met you at the last hui, and some of you I've met through phone calls, emails, and on-site visits as well. So thank you very much, guys, for kind of going through this journey with us. And for those that have taken on the initial audits, I just want to say a huge thanks, because you've just been superb. So just to add a little bit to what James said on communication pack 1 and the document request, this is really about informing you that an audit is upcoming. It's not going to give you a specific date. It's going to let you know that between, say, May and July, we're going to be coming out to see you. To prepare for that, we need the documents to start our desktop review before we come out to see you and the individuals. And then we also are asking you to validate some of the information that we have around you. So as providers and around the home as well. So some of you will already be aware that there have been some instances where we need to make some changes to the information that we have, and this is really to help with that. So we ask you to complete this so that we can validate that with the information that we have on our end. So to those that have already done that, thank you very much. Hugely appreciated. In terms of next slide, just bear with me.
Okay, so the next communication you'll have in that communication pack 1, it will tell you when to expect the communications as well and what will be included in each one. So that's some initial feedback. So what I will say with the programme is, and what we said right from the get-go, is that this is, you know, a little bit of test and have the feedback and refine. So we will be doing that as we work through. And alongside that, we're also building up a really good set of FAQs as well from some of the information or the feedback that you've already given us. So that communication pack 1 is really to inform. It will tell you when the communications are coming. Communication pack 2 will come out, as we said earlier, around 20 days pre-audit, so 20 working days. And I'm totally acknowledging that those that have been first cab off the rank haven't quite had that. And again, we appreciate your cooperation with us. So thank you. What we aim to do with communication 2 is to prepare you for what's coming. So communication 2 will have the information around when the audit is going to be. It will tell you about who we are. It will talk to kind of why we're here, what we're doing. And this is specifically within this communication, we will share with you information for the individuals and the whānau as well. So information will be available in accessible formats and easy read formats. And there'll also be the PowerPoints there that you can see to the side. What will be included in this is also bios and information about our people, so the people that will come to see you. So you will have some information within the email that will say, we're coming to visit this home on this date, and these are the people that are coming to see you. What we haven't put in there is specific timing, because we do understand that people are busy. So, you know, we want people to be busy. We want the individuals that we're visiting to be busy. So the intention is not to impact their lives too much. So what we're asking is somewhere between 9 and 3, if you can let us know, and that information will be in the comms as well. What we do ask from you with this is that this is shared with individuals and whānau, so that they have really good information and can start to think about whether they want to speak to us, what they want to tell us, when works for them. So you can see there the information on the screen kind of just gives them a bit of an overview as to why we're there. Apologies, team. We're getting there. Communication pack 3 is really to remind, so this will come out 5 working days before we come to see you. So it's really just to give you a bit of a reminder, hey, we're coming. These are the people that you're coming to see. You'll also have the email addresses. We have a disability support services, Enhanced Audit Programme, general web inbox email, but you will also have access to the people that are coming to visit you. So the people that will be carrying out the audit on the day, so that you can liaise directly with them as well. As it says in there, we've suggested times, but we really want to fit in with the schedule as best we can. What we do ask, though, is that it's somewhere, like I said, between 9 and 3, because we do need to make sure our people can get home safely and not have prolonged days as well. And then the last email that you'll get is a post-audit communication. So apologies. You will get a post-audit clarification, which will be really about, can we check the factual accuracy? Can we make sure that we have the information that we need? So I'm just going to go through the pre-audit process. So pre-audit, as we've already alluded to, you will have the communications pack 1, 5 weeks out or 25 working days. You will have comms pack 2, 4 weeks out or 20 working days. And then comms pack 3, you will have 1 week out or 5 working days. So communications pack 1, we really want to ensure that that information is circulated to relevant staff. So we ask that of you as providers to make sure that your staff know we're coming, they know what we're doing, and they know why we're there. We also ask that you respond to the validation of the people and homes. And so that is really vital to us because we want to make sure we're obviously going to the right place. We want to make sure we're going to DSS funded homes, and we want to also make sure that it's going to fit in. Examples that we've had recently are that people can't see us at the moment because they may be having some issues that they need to work through at the moment, so it's not a good time for them. We completely understand that, and we can reschedule accordingly. Also, we understand that people move and they move around. So it's really important that we have that validation so we can work with DSS to make sure the data is correct. We also ask you at that point to upload the information, so the documentation that James went through. We do appreciate that that's a lot of information. We do appreciate you will probably provide it for other means as well in terms of other audits of your homes. So we do totally understand that. We have put FAQs together. Some of the information we've had so far is that there's people work in a live system. What we would ask though is that we do have that information. So I know it does mean downloading reports, but we do need to review that pre-audit. So we will need that information ahead of time. Comms Pack 2, that is the information around, you will get a bio around who we are. So the specific people that are coming to audit that home, it will have their bio, it'll have their photo, and then you'll also have a video as well. The video is like a maybe 45-second video of our people, so that the people that we're going to visit can actually see a person, hear a person. They again are accessible videos, so they have subtitles. So it's really important to us that, you know, people can see who we are ahead of time. We've had really great feedback on those, and they have worked really well in those initial audits. In terms of the during audit process, so we will arrive on site on the day. Some people have asked us around, you know, do we want to meet leadership teams? Do we want to meet the staff ahead of time? That is incredibly helpful. What we will say is that we will have many people. We have a range of audit teams coming. So if you're a big provider, you might have like 7 or 10 people coming. 7, you wouldn't have 7 because we're in 2s. You might have 8 or 10 people coming on a day. And so we would, it would be quite tricky to get all of those people to meet you all. It would also be quite tricky to do them on different days from an efficiency perspective. So we are really happy to have Teams conversations up front with the leadership team and all the auditors that will be coming to see you, if that would be helpful. It would be lovely to be met by somebody, a staff member or a leadership member or a team member. We're not just going to rock up to a house and knock on the door, and we understand there's service leads, we understand there's, you know, support people around. So we do want to ensure that we're with somebody who the person knows and trusts before we enter the home. If that can't be achieved for whatever reason, please just let us know so that we can prepare for that. What we do understand as well is that we may arrive on the day and it might not be a good time. There might be sickness, there might be illness, there may be a situation whereby we can't enter the home. The person that we're visiting may well change their mind. So this is all consent driven. So if the person doesn't want us in their home on that particular day, or we can't go to that home on that particular day, then again, we will reschedule. So we're completely understanding of that. If there is sickness in the home, please let us know ahead of time so that we can reschedule accordingly. If we are going through the audit and we can't complete the audit by the end of that particular day, this would be quite unusual. But if it is and we're midway through the audit, then we would discuss with you and liaise with you as the provider to schedule either the next best time or understand from you what would be the best thing to do. We have also got escalation processes in place as well. So if an escalation situation happens in the home, then we have guidelines that we follow, and obviously will fit into what you need us to do as well to keep the person or people safe. We will then depart the site. So there's huge variance already in in how long we are in a home. And so we recognise that some people are really open for a chat, and some people really want to tell us lots of things, and some people don't. We're also very aware that some people have had enough and let us know that they've had enough. And so we are, we will be guided by the individual. Most audits to this point in time, in terms of the time in the home, have taken about an hour to an hour and a half. And then there's that kind of more time, depending on where the organiser is situated in terms of offices and meeting the leadership team. So again, we will work with you on that on a case by case, really. And then in terms of the post-audit process, so this relates to Communications Pack 4. So we will take all of the information that we have. We'll obviously have all of that documentation, and we'll complete the review alongside the visit. So as James said, it's a three-pronged approach, if you like. So there's the desktop review in terms of all the documentation you share. Then there's the visit to the home, and then there's the report post. So we will draft that report. So our intention is to draft that and get it back to you for factual accuracy within 10 working days. And then you may well want to circulate that to relevant staff to ensure the factual accuracy in terms of what we've seen on the day. And then we will follow up any documentation requests with you as well. So we would ask you to get that back to us probably within 10 working days so that we can then finalise the report and share it with DSS. You will be aware, once you've seen that report, of any recommendations that have been suggested as a result of our visit and review. And so, the expectation, I guess, around that would be that you will then look at those recommendations and understand where you need to address and where you need to work with DSS. So those recommendations will be addressed by yourselves as providers and DSS, and then we will report monthly into DSS on all of those reports. Okay, I'm going to hand back to Pete.
So I'm conscious you have seen myself, James, and Emma up till now, and understandably, a few people have asked us who will be conducting the audit. We have a large team, and we have a large, very motivated, very passionate group of people who are really looking forward to getting involved in this work and who are very driven by the broader purpose of supporting the quality and safeguarding of support provided to disabled people. Across the top of this slide, you can see I'm there top left. I'm accountable for the overall quality and delivery of this work. To my right there is James Poskett, who you've met, who is our design lead around the audit framework, our disability SME, and who connects into various groups around disability voice and our advisory groups. You've met Emma to his right, who's our clinical insights lead and our delivery lead, and connects in with our domestic and international clinical advisory groups. Abtin to Emma's right, who's led the development of our digital tool. Kirill, who is one of our lead internal auditors, who provides guidance and advice to us around audit excellence. Timothy Brown, who's our Pōwhakatere, who provides us guidance and advice around Te Ao Māori and cultural advice as appropriate. And then top right on this diagram is my colleague Kirsten Pulbrook, who is based in Australia, in Canberra, who has led very similar work in Australia across all Australian states, and who has provided guidance and advice and lessons learned from doing similar work across Australia. All of those lessons learned and guidance and advice have helped shape our framework and our delivery approach. Coming down a level onto the left-hand side there, around setup and build, our design audit framework team, so Danielle and Neha, based here in Wellington, have done a lot of the work supporting James around the development of our audit framework. And as I said at the beginning, the planning and logistics around all of this in terms of organising a large volume of audits and all of the appropriate documentation and alignment of activity is no small task. And so we have Taina, Ben, Kate, Erin and Emma who are supporting all of those planning and logistics. We are then supported by a delivery team around the country with colleagues in Auckland, in Wellington, in Dunedin, in Christchurch, in Hamilton, and in Tauranga, who will be supporting the delivery of these audits with myself, James, and Emma. And then over on the right-hand side of this diagram, you can see 4 of my colleagues who have been helping us around the digital tool build to make sure that is as robust a tool to support the audit delivery as possible. So when the question is posed, who will conduct my audit, it will almost certainly be somebody or a couple of people from this slide. The scheduling and logistics of that will come down to specific timing and availability around the time. But just to reiterate, we have a large, passionate team that are all motivated around the core goal of supporting disabled people as well as possible. I'll take a risk now, Emma, but am I passing back to you, or is it James next?
You're actually passing back to James, but that's it.
After James.
So we're up to the Q&A. I'm conscious there's quite some really good questions in the chat already and keen to get to those. Before we do that, there have been a few questions that have already been asked, and we're developing an FAQ register, which we'll be able to share with all of you and add to it. So we'll make that readily available. But I'm not going to work through all of those because there's some excellent questions in the chat. But just to let you know that we'll be sharing those FAQs as we go. Is it okay with the group if I start working through the Q&A questions? I've had a scan and they all are relevant specifically to us.
Yeah, thanks, James. Also a big thanks to Emma and Peter as well for that informative presentation. It's great to see the momentum. Thinking of our last forum. But yeah, so thank you to the 3 of you and to KPMG. I'm going to hand over in a moment to Mark Singson, who's our senior advisor in the quality assurance team here at DSS, and he'll run through some of those Q&A questions for the panel. But first of all, just a reminder that to ask a question, make sure that ask a question is selected beside your photo or initials, and click on the up arrow button to the left of any question that you would like to be answered to upvote that. So I'll hand over to Mark now. Thank you. And he'll direct those questions to the panel.
Kia ora, Angela. Kia ora koutou. Ko Mark Oi. Again, as Ange mentioned, I'm part of DSS. I'm the Senior Advisor for Service Provider Audits. So I'll be moderating the Q&A session for this presentation today. And which means I'll be reading out your exciting questions and then passing it on to our presenters. So keep on putting those questions in, and if you see something similar or the question has already been asked, just upvote that question. For our first question, when will the audit framework be published to providers? I think James, Mr. McElraith, would be able to answer this question.
Thanks, Mark. There's been a couple of conversations around when we can publish the audit framework, when it's in a good position to be published. I think our KPMG colleagues and ourselves are really happy with where it's at now. So that will be in the next few months. It will be published certainly before the end of June, I would think, or around about then. I think what would need to go there with that would be a bit of explanation possibly, and a bit of just background to it and how it was developed up. We need to work through what the best way of communicating that was on the website, and then certainly we'll put it in a communications format for all providers, so the audit framework will be published and shared in the fairly near future. James, the other James, did you want to add anything to that, or Emma?
No, just keen to make that and as much information as we're producing as transparent as possible. So keen to get that up and shared.
Mm-hmm.
Thanks, James P. and James M. Righto. Next to the next one, can the 5 days to upload the desktop evaluation information time frame be extended, as this is a lot of admin time in a very short period of time? Do you have any leeway?
Yeah, we certainly have had feedback on that, and so yes, there is leeway, and so as I've said, like, this is it's a bit of a learning process for us all. Do you want me to stop sharing? Actually, is it easier if I stop sharing my screen? Maybe I will stop sharing. So yeah, so we understand that there is a lot to do and there's a lot to upload. So yes, we are looking at that time frame and taking feedback on board. So yes, I think you will see that will change very shortly.
Thanks, Eva. Next one, regarding the ESRE documents, do they have visuals on them? Or would they have visuals or imagery?
Yes, is the answer. Yes.
Yes. All of them. I think we've talked about this. What if people are busy between 9 and 3? So I think KPMG is very flexible about this.
Yeah, we are very flexible, and I think if they are busy between 9 and 3, we just have to know that ahead of time, because I think everybody will appreciate that, you know, we have a team of people, and we need to also make sure that they can get home safely from wherever they are or stay that evening. So that's the biggest thing for us, is just, you know, we also need to kind of look after the welfare and well-being of our people. So yeah, that's something for us to consider, but certainly have a conversation with us around that, and that will be part of that piece at the very beginning, really understanding what works for that person.
Thanks, Emma. I think we touched on this. The next one, we touched on this one on the previous provider forum, but I'll read that again. Does the enhanced audit replace any existing compliance audits, or is it an addition? James M., would you like to talk about this?
I'll give that one a go. Thanks, Mark. So the answer is it replaces, in a sense, what DSS has been doing in the past. That is to say, the selection of a sample of homes or other DSS services where a developmental evaluation will take place. So in that sense, it does replace something, and it's a more comprehensive, obviously, audit program that we're undertaking. We are obviously aware that HealthCert has a compliance regime with audits too, and there was mention of one of the providers, you know, getting into AA group notification of that in one of the chat questions, which we might get to later. And also Te Kahui Kahu has their social services accreditation, of which there's a little bit of overlap between ourselves and the work we'll do and providers who also attend to that. So yes, it does replace something that DSS was doing, but it doesn't replace, obviously, HealthCert, or that all stays the same, or Te Kahui Kahu work, or nor ACC audits for that matter. In addition to.
Thank you, James. Can we talk about the process for document transfer? Emma, this is probably for you.
Yeah. So documentation transfer will be through iManage. So we have a document that's been put together for that in terms of how you do it. So iManage has been assessed as the safest place to go. Or the safest way to do it. What I want to be clear on, though, is we don't want sensitive information in terms of any personal plans shared. It's really about us reviewing those on the day. So as James alluded to earlier, it's about getting samples of what your support plan looks like or what your vocational plan looks like. So yeah, so all through iManage, and there is a how do I do this, and we are also here to help you through it.
Thank you, Emma. This question is I'll open it on the floor. Talking about the audits, can we please clarify what type 2 and type 5 audits are?
I can give that a go, Mark, to start with. So within our partnered work with KPMG, there are 5 audit types. The type 2 audit is specifically a service care audit with community residential services, and in particular community group homes. And it's a site-specific audit of small community residential services, 4 beds or fewer. And it's focused on direct care delivery. This is contrasted with the type 1, which is the more organisational audit for community residential services. And type 5, though, is on-demand audits, which includes tracer audits to assess a particular individual's experience, issues-based audits, which are commissioned in response to quality concerns and often to require a multidisciplinary approach, and no-notice audits. James or Emma, or did you want to add anything to those kind of clarifications? There are some additional, the type 3 and type 4, which is for broader DSS services. But just to note, though, with Q&As, we'll also elaborate in the Q&A section of the document that comes out with the forum video and provide a bit more detail if needed to these answers.
Thanks, James. In relation to communication, can whānau be contacted by phone and or online if they live a distance away and cannot travel to be on site at time of the audit?
Absolutely. Absolutely. So that's one of our FAQs that's come through. So most definitely we can talk to whānau. We're happy to do by phone, by Zoom, Teams, whatever works for them to have a conversation. We're also happy to do face-to-face. Something that has come to light recently is that some individuals also may not want to talk to us, but they would prefer to write, their experiences. So, also, we're totally understanding of that. So I think for us, it's about getting the information we need. And so making sure, that person is safe in their home and the experiences that they have are enabling them to live a great life. So how we get that information, we are open to.
Thank you, Emma. This is a good one. I'll probably open this to any of you again. Can you advise us the difference between the Enhanced Audit Programme now from the previous audit or the developmental valuations? I think this is what they are meaning.
I'll give that a go to break it up. So
awesome.
I guess it's the enhanced part of that. So it's taking all of the best bits of the developmental evaluations, which is really diving into outcomes for disabled people, the disabled person and their whānau experience, which is what those audits were primarily focused on. But we're taking elements of that, but also applying the Ngā Paerewa standards around what those organisational policies, procedures, and the more structural standards you need to comply with, and applying another lens through the DSS service specifications and the contractual obligations. So we're taking elements of all of those. So it is more comprehensive than the developmental evaluations, but still heavily focused on disabled people's experience.
Thanks, James. This is with regards to the audit delivery and sampling. So will it always be the case that all people or homes the provider supports will be audited all at once as opposed to sampling?
So we will need to visit all homes under a provider, but it may not be the case that they're all done on the same day. They may be over different days. So yeah, it will really be dependent on what we can achieve at the time. In a case of a provider who has got, many homes in one street, we may well send a team of auditors down from an efficiency perspective to audit all at the same time. So no, it won't always be the case. It will be dependent on the homes in that area. and the availability of our team, and obviously the availability of the individuals within the home. So not always the case, no, but where we can create efficiencies for all, we will, to the best that we can.
And speaking more broadly for DSS as well, we are obviously focused on doing all the community group homes over time and doing that fairly quickly to establish that baseline. And that's the focus for the coming sort of 12, 18 months, and then to all DSS services. So that's the intention, to get everyone who DSS funds, the services funded, audited in due course.
Thanks, Emma. Thanks, James. I think I've missed one question here, all the way top, but I think you've talked about this already, Emma, about providing information with personal information. So I'll probably skip that now.
Yeah, we don't want, I don't think there's any need to put personal information in that I manage piece. It's really around policies, procedures. Just being clear as well. In terms of when we do the audit report, it will be nameless. So we might, put Mr. A or Miss A or whatever it might be, and it won't be relevant to that person. So just want to be clear that they will be anonymised, the reports.
Righto. Thanks for that, Emma. We've got a question here. So they've just received notice from the DAA group for 2026 certification audit. So I'm guessing this is one of the DAAs. Is this BAU process or informed by the work you are doing? I think this is a separate one. This is the certification audit program.
No, that's separate to the work that we're doing. Yeah.
That sounds like the health cert process from the reading of that, and it's obviously a BAU process for health cert. And we will, as I mentioned in my presentation earlier, be working with health cert and Te Kahu to better understand scheduling and how we can reduce or minimise any duplication around visits and that kind of thing. And that's also, of course, informed by those validation exercises that KPMG are carrying out when they go there. So we are trying to streamline that at the moment with both Health Cert and Te Kahu.
Yep. Trying to scroll through.
I see there, Mark, is a question at the end there around if we've had a recent Te Kahu audit or an Paerewa Health Cert audit. Will you use these observations, not duplicate? I think that I partially answered that question and say there may be some duplication to start with, but we're working with those groups to sort of understand better what they are requiring for these audit processes, and then, of course, with KPMG and what they will need, and try to work out how we can best minimise that duplication, and whether we can do that at our end, if you like, versus you would just have a common document you might use at your end, at provider end, and we're still kind of working on that and how best we might do it. So it might be a bit more muddly at the beginning, but we're certainly looking to streamline those processes and work out as best we can to minimise any provider burden.
Thank you. And we're just coming to the end of our Q&A session. Might be time for one more quick question. If it's okay with you, Mark, I see there's one kind of related to the response you just gave, James, asking if there's an agreement to share your findings with Ngā Paerewa and the TKK auditors to reduce duplication.
There's not an agreement as such. I mean, there's certainly a test agreement working closely as a sort of a government department with another one, or a government agency, to better understand one another's work and how that might best work. There's obviously strict privacy elements around that. So what we are intending to do, of course, is publish our reporting and be as transparent as possible within the confines of our obligations to you, and to reduce duplication where we can. So we're still working on that with Health Cert and trying to be as as transparent as possible with both DME and Te Kahu and work out where there is overlap and where we can best streamline the process.
Thank you. And Mark, did you have any final questions on your list? Maybe time for one quick one.
Yeah, one quick one. Have you got any free weekend, Emma? Because I've got a question here about flexibility, seeing people who are provider support. Will the team consider weekends?
Shall I jump in on that one, Emma?
Yeah, you can jump in on that, Pete.
In exceptional circumstances, we're happy to support at a weekend, but on a general basis, I don't think we can ask our people to work at the weekends. But if there are extenuating circumstances that make it more appropriate to support at a weekend, I would certainly be happy to do that.
Kia ora, team. I'll hand it back to you, Angela.
Thank you, everybody.
Mark.
Really appreciate you all. So thank you very much for hopping on, and thanks for all the support that you're giving us. We're very, very grateful and very appreciative of all your feedback. So thank you very much.
Awesome.
And thank you for all the great questions.
And thank you, Mark, for running that Q&A session. Much appreciated. So that was Mark Simpson, our Senior Advisor, Service Provider Audits. So I think we can wrap up the session for today. It was wonderful having the three of you from KPMG here today, and also learning more about who's in the wider team and the scope, the size of this project, and the momentum that it's gaining. So thank you to the Quality Assurance and Improvement team as well, our colleagues behind the scenes, running things like the spotlighting, the questions, etc. And so we're about to put up the closing slide for this forum, which has contact emails that you can reach out to if you have any further questions or feedback. Particularly if you have a question you posted today that we didn't have time to get to, or if any others come to mind, please get in touch. And like James from KPMG mentioned earlier, they have a list of frequently asked questions and should be able to respond to you. So it's been a pleasure having you all here this afternoon. If you have any questions, as I said, contact us here at Quality at msd.govt.nz, and I'll close us now with a karakia whakamutunga. So closing karakia. I hope you all have a wonderful rest of your day. Kia whakairia te tapu, kia wātia ai te ara, kia turuki whakataha ai, kia turuki whakataha ai, haumie, huie, tai kia. Kia ora. And mātua, see you at the next forum. And you'll see this recording online. Thank you.
You still there, James and Angela?